Hello friends and welcome to Tutorials Point. Well, we all have to face interviews sometime or the other during our life, right? And whenever we face interviews, we definitely want to portray our best because it is that entire duration of an interview wherein you have to nail it, right? Either you do it or you lose it, right? So you have to give your best. And because you have to give your best, definitely there are certain tips, certain tricks which will help you to enhance your presentation during an interview. Of course, leaving aside the technical aspect, which definitely will vary from the post that you've applied to. So that will definitely is completely your own talent as to how much you are aware of that. But apart from that, as to how much could you, how larger could you show yourself so as to maximize your success percentage, right? So in this video, we are going to discuss about certain important things which we need to take cognizance of, or certain important tips and tricks or terminologies which can actually help us enhance our success rates, right? So let us go ahead and study about it. Okay, so first of all, how should you actually present yourself while you are in an interview? Now let's, let us put it very simply. What is the reason? Why should the person who is interviewing you, or why should the recruiter hire you compared to anyone else? Of course, there is, because you are expected to have that talent and you are exactly expected to fit in that role. It should be like a tailor-made fit for the role which they are offering you, right? So obviously, every recruiter would look at you with the mind frame of you fitting in that role exactly, right? So whatever, just keep one thing in your mind, that whatever they are asking you, it in one way or the other, be it your CV, be it your presentation, be it whatever you are speaking, in one way or the other, should actually link to your job profile that you are that you have applied for, or that or what you are interviewing for. Because obviously, why are they asking you questions? Because somehow or the other they want to hear something which would convince them that you are absolutely fit for that role, right? So how are you going to present your strengths in front of the interviewer so as to make them actually feel and actually showcase your own talent, that yes, you are the one who is meant for that particular role, right? So how are you going to present your talents? Of course, you have to use concise statements, as we've mentioned here. Briefly describe the value you can bring to the organization. Obviously, why are they hiring you? Definitely they are looking forward to some benefits which you might give them if you are working in their organization, isn't it? And if they are looking forward to that, so definitely however or whatever you are presenting about yourself should in one way or the other land them to that particular target that they probably want to be met after they have hired you, right? So of course, you definitely don't have to go on and on, but having said that, you also should be very precise in the way that you are presenting your strengths. And just keep one thing in mind, that they are not sitting there to chit chat with you or spend time with you. The recruiter is sitting there to actually gauge that whatever you are telling about yourself in one way or the other is linked to the need of that particular profile that they are interviewing you for. So whatever you tell them about yourself, keep this thing in mind, that somehow or the other you should link it to that job profile, right? So for example, if you have applied let us say for the job of an English trainer, so what is the basic What is the most important point that they are looking forward to? Definitely, if they want you to be an English trainer, the first thing that you should be very good at is your your spoken English, the way you are speaking. So that is the first thing which probably you might need to present. And of course, along with that comes, there are a lot of things which follow, not just your English, the way you present, the way you engage the audiences, the way you take grip of the entire class, or wherever the kind of training that they are expecting from you, right? So this is just an example that we took. It could be any job that you applied for, right? So basis whatever is the role that you are applying for, you have to just one way or the other link it to that kind of that profile which you have applied for, right? Only then will it make sense. Only then the recruiter could probably be somehow convinced that yes, this is the kind of role that I am expecting out of whomsoever is interviewing, right? So this, just keep this thing in mind while you are showing them your strengths, right? Of course, you have to be very concise and apt. So it's not that you have to go on boasting, but your whatever you say should be apt, should not even be very less, or should not even look like as if you are sitting for a date with the recruiter. That also should not be the case. You have to be very, very concise, very, very apt, very, very optimally. You have to present whatever or whatever point that you're trying to make should be very, very nicely streamlined and presented, right? Let's go ahead and see a few more words, a few more important probably terminologies which can help you to enhance your interview success rate a lot. Okay, so as we already discussed that you are very, very optimally going to design your talents which you want to display. So here are a few power words which can definitely help you to present your strengths in a way so that it is really, really appealing and gripping for the recruiter, whoever is interviewing you, right? So of course, right, everyone a positive environment is something that actually is very, very is hugely liked by everyone, right? So these are a few very, very positive power words which you can use in during the time that you are presenting your strengths, right? So it could be self-starter. So self-starter is one such word. So what is the exact meaning? Of course, someone who has that standalone spirit, who has that independent kind of attitude to just go-getter attitude, to just go ahead and take the lead. So self-starter again is a very, very good term to describe your strengths. Creative, of course, creativity is something that is indefinitely required for any job that you have applied for. So of course, creative is again a good way to present yourself. Motivated, of course, motivation is really required for any employee of any organization, for it to actually succeed. So motivation is another power word which you can get to use, or for that matter, decisive or resourceful. So all of these, if you observe, persistent, organized, result oriented, productive, problem solver, teachable, responsive, adaptable. So all of these words, you can actually articulate them while you are, you can actually put them to use while you are presenting your strengths. And these words have a very, very positive, impact on the recruiter. So this definitely will increase your chance of being successful in that interview. So not only these words. Now, of course, you are going to use these words, as much as these words as you can while you are, presenting yourself. But it's not just about these words. You definitely, should back it up with some example. Like if you are decisive, what is it that makes you say so? Because of course, that is the first question which the recruiter might end up asking you. So what does, what makes you say that you are decisive? So of course, you will have to quote, or you will have to back up whichever power word that you've used to describe yourself with an example. Otherwise, all of them, all of these words would just sound like empty, very empty, very incomplete and boastful to the recruiter, right? So let us go ahead and see as to how can you actually make your presentation far more powerful during the time when you are facing an interview. Okay, so of course achievements, as I already told you, that any challenge that you face, so these are the things that you are going to describe during the time when you are quoting your achievements, right? So action that you perform to overcome the challenge. So as I already told, right, whenever you are using those power words as well, you can actually use them, you get to articulate the entire conversation that is taking place. And how are you going to make it far more effective is by the usage of these power words. And of course, along with that, any challenge that you faced bases the quality that you are describing about yourself, and you feel that it is exactly hand in hand with the kind of profile that you are giving your interview for, definitely this is going to help you a lot, right? So of course the result of your actions as to whatever challenge that you faced and how did you overcome it and what was the result post that. So all of these things, the entire story that you're going to spin around, or I won't call it a story, probably the entire fact that you are going to put forward in front of the recruiter should be so well articulated with the use of power words that it just, it takes the examiner, right? So the recruiter of course is bound to buy your points, right? So that is how you are going to express yourself, right? So be sincere about your achievements, of course, because the person who is interviewing you is definitely not a fool sitting there, can definitely very well recognize as to whatever you are telling is true or not. Is it in line with all the words that you've used to describe yourself, right? And do not explain of course, as we've already discussed, you definitely don't need to create big stories, because no one has time. You have to be crisp, you have to be presentable, you have to back up every quality of yours that you are describing with a real challenge that you faced, or an example, right? If you say something about yourself, why do you say so, right? So these are a few things which you need to take cognizance of while you are giving an interview. Okay, so be very brief but share enough so that the person you are talking to will be interested in hearing more. So this is of course something that you need to be very careful about, the amount that you are the words that you are using to put it forward. They should not sound very casual. It's not some casual conversation which is going on with a friend. It is a proper interview. At the same time, if you are way too introvert and you are just not saying anything, that also will not be, that won't let you to take things in your stride. So be very careful of these few tips while you are giving an interview. Let us go ahead. Okay, so now this power statement is something which will actually boost your entire interview multifolds. It is going to boost your success rate multifold. So how do you do that? So this is one formula which you are going to use. So I am, then use a power word. So we studied about power words like creative, decisive, or disciplined or organized. So basis the quality or basis the example that you are going to give forward, you are going to choose a particular or an appropriate power word, right? So look at an example. For example, then of course once you use your power word, you have to describe a major strength, which means definitely once you are describing it, all of that has to be fact based, right? So it is all about packaging. Definitely whatever you are presenting are facts. You are not gonna, you definitely cannot take the risk of just selling lies, right? Whatever you are presenting are facts, but what matters is how you package it, right? So this video especially is designed to help you to package your strengths in a way so that it actually makes you very successful, right? So look at an example. For example, I started, if you had to create a power statement, I can achieve results. So in a way you have told the recruiter that you are result oriented, right? So for example, I started a new tracking method that reduced the errors by 14%. So now you understand, right? So first of all, whoever was the candidates used a power word to describe himself or herself, and then backed it up with an evidence. And of course, all of that, whatever he or she has packaged, is not even very less and is not even a lot for the person who is listening to it, right? So these are certain things which you need to be very careful about. So let us quickly brush up few tips and tricks which we started in this video. First thing is, whatever you are describing about yourself should be in line with the objectives of the post that you have applied for, or with the objectives of the job description, right? So that's the first thing. Or to be more precise, with the objectives of the company wherein you are applying for a job. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, you have to speak appropriately. You should not be, you don't have to go on and on beating behind the bush. At the same time, you cannot even afford to be very, very introvert, right? That's the second thing. Now, third thing is that you gotta use power words while you are selling your own strengths to the recruiter, right? And then the fourth thing is, whatever power word you use which is in line with the job profile which you have applied for should definitely be backed up with an evidence. And all of that evidence, those evidences or those situations, to be more precise, which you are presenting, should be, try to make it more and more number based, because ultimately the numbers are what matter, right? So try, and if you can pitch in numbers, that's great. If you cannot, then probably maybe it's a situation that you are describing. Describe that situation, but in an apt manner. So these are the four things which you need to be very careful about while you are giving an interview to boost your success rates multifold, right? So friends, this was all about making your interview successful using your amazing communication skills, packaging yourself in a way so that anyone and everyone is completely sold onto whatever you have told them, right? So friends, this was all about presenting yourself during an interview or making yourself successful during an interview. We will see you again in the next video. Till that time, keep learning with Tutorials Point and Tutorix. Have a good day.